Everybody ranks things, but nobody's ranked everything. And that's where I come in. This is Rank the World, where I'm going to rank everything on this planet, no matter how long it takes me. I figure the best way to start this journey is with something I personally really enjoy and something I've loved since I was a wee little boy, and that is Pokemon. My cousins introduced me to Pokemon when I was just a little kid, and I've been hooked ever since. I spent hours playing the games on my Game Boy, watching the TV show and movies, and wishing I could be a Pokemon master. I even own the soundtracks. Side note, to be a master still slaps. As I got older though, I pretty much fell off. I basically went from Gen 3 to Sword and Shield without playing much in between. I still liked Pokemon and would occasionally play Fire Red or Emerald on my phone, but that was pretty much the extent of it. But then, a couple of years ago, I was at work and we had some downtime and I saw my coworker playing Pokemon on his phone. And it looked like Fire Red, but there was something different. There were Pokemon I'd never seen before, and they were swearing. And that's when he introduced me to the world of Pokemon Rom Hacks and reignited my love for Pokemon. I've been obsessed with them ever since. So today, I'm going to rank every single Pokemon ROM hack that I've played so far. This is only going to be games that I've actually played, so if I'm missing any, let me know in the comments because I want to play them, and maybe I'll do a follow-up someday. I'm also only ranking actual ROM hacks, so no fan games, no Infinite Fusion, This Gem of Mine, and any others like that. Also, I have not played Radical Red yet. I have it, but it intimidates me. I'll get to it someday. Alright, so I've got 32 Pokemon ROM hacks here lined up. These are all ones that I've played. I've beaten a good amount of them. And I realize I said I've, played most ROM hacks. There's like hundreds at least out there, so I feel like I've played the go-to ROM hacks, besides Radical Red. Like I said, if I'm missing any that you guys think I should have rated, let me know in the comments and I will try to get back to them. I will definitely play them because I always need some ROM hacks to play. Alright, but going first off here, we have Pokemon Adventure Red. So when I first played this, I probably put like 100 hours into this game. Once you beat the Elite Four, there is so much post game that it's pretty much like the midpoint of the game. It follows the manga, which I have not read besides like a couple issues as a kid, but I still really enjoyed the story in this game. It's really fun. It's kind of mature at times. It's a good game though. This is one I usually recommend to people, but I don't know if I'd put it at the top. So I'm gonna say A. For A, I'd play this again. All right, next up we have Pokemon Altered or Alt Red, however you want to pronounce it. This one's fun. It's a pretty simple game. It's just kind of a type swap where they give all the Pokemon new typings, but outside of that though, it was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. Not too crazy about it, so I would say B for basically fun, nothing special. Next up, we have Crystal Advance, and this is probably going to come up a lot in this episode, but I fucking love Gen 2 so much. It's the generation I played the most of as a kid, so any Gen 2 ROM hacks kind of have a special place in my heart. This one is fun, but it's pretty much just a standard, port of Crystal, but, with GBA graphics. All right, so next up we have Dark Worship, which this game had a lot of like high praise when I first started playing it, but I don't really see why. I didn't hate it, but I couldn't really get into the plot. There's lots of like backtracking throughout the whole game, which got really annoying to the point where I don't think I ever beat this game. I think I probably stopped at like 4 or 5 gyms. But I didn't hate it, but I didn't enjoy it. So that's gonna go to our first C tier. Next up, we have something very special here, and that is Mariomon. If you haven't played Mariomon, it is pretty much just Fire Red, but all of the Pokemon have been replaced with Mario sprites. And that's about it. So when I played this, I got kind of bored of it. It is fun, it's kind of like a meme game pretty much. But, I think this is going to be the first D, or This Is Not For Me. All right, Neon Blue. I don't really remember a lot about this game. I played it a long time ago, but I remember beating it, and I remember enjoying it. I'm pretty sure it's like a new region. So, there's got to be a new plot line, which if it kept me invested to the point where I beat it, I'm going to say that's probably B. Basically fun. Nothing special. Polka Aqua version. This one's weird. So what they do is all of the NPCs are replaced with basically like TV and movie characters. So tons of pop culture references. I think it's Gen 1 through 6. I could be wrong on that. I'm probably wrong on that. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it that much. I'm going to put that in C. All right, Pokemon Ash Gray version. So if you haven't played this one, it pretty much follows the whole TV series. Not the whole TV series, because that would be a long game. But it follows the plotline of at least the first season, the Indigo League. And you play as Ash, and you get to go through the game, do exactly what he does, if you want, or you can do like your own thing. I know when I played it, I followed all the little mini side quests to get his Pokemon, but as someone that grew up on the show and was always wanting to be Ash, this was a fun experience. I'm going to put this at A. For A, I would play again. All right, now we're getting to the Crizzle trilogy. If you've been in the ROM hack game for a little while now, you've probably heard of at least one of these 3 games. You got Outlaw, Cops, and Kurosu. Yeah, this is a trilogy of games all made by the same creator. So these are all, they're really well-made games, but you can definitely tell that Crizzle got better at what they were doing the longer they went on. Outlaw, the first one of the trilogy, it's not bad. It's fun. It's definitely the edgiest of the 3. It tries to be pretty much as edgy as you can get in a Pokemon game. There's death, there's murder, there's other bad things. It almost becomes cringe at times, but not completely. So I'm going to put this one at B. Cops, on the other hand, even though this is the second in the trilogy, I think this is my favorite out of the 3. The plotline is basically you are a police officer in the Pokemon world, and instead of going through the gym challenge and the Elite Four, you basically just go on this plot to take down, some bad guys. It's still kind of edgy, It's a little cringe at times, but it's a ROM hack. Cringe happens. But I mean, this game is just so much different from all the other ones on this list. And I enjoyed playing it a lot. I'm going to put that at A for ACAB. All right, and then rounding out the Crizzle trilogy, we got Kurosu here. So I remember really liking the story to this one. You get a Ghastly as your starter, hence the Gengar on the front. You start on like the Sevi Islands instead of actually in Kanto and make your way there. It's still pretty edgy, pretty dark, but it is more mature than the other 2. It's a little grindy though. I'm going to put this in B, and I'm going to put it in front of Outlaw. All right, next we have Pokemon Classic. So this is pretty much the Fire Red, Leaf Green version of Pokemon Yellow, but I think it's actually in the Emerald engine, but it's a pretty faithful remake to Yellow. Some quality of life updates and all that. Pretty much if you like Leaf Green and Fire Red, but you want to play with Pikachu as your starter instead, Pokemon Classic. I'm going to throw this one on... I'm going to throw it on C just because it's a little boring, if you've played Yellow or any of the other Gen 1/Gen 3 games. But it's a good game. It's good. It's just a little boring. Next up, we were talking about Clover. This is the first ROM hack I ever played. This game is really well made, but it was made by a bunch of people through 4chan, so it is the cringiest, most edgiest Pokemon ROM hack out there so far. It's basically just offensive humor all throughout the game. It's also a Fakemon hack, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it is one of the better Fakemon hacks. So if you don't mind offensive humor or Fakemons, then this is a good game for you. So I'm going to throw this on C as well. Man, we are like halfway through this and no S tier games yet, but you know what? I think we're going to get there. So we'll see. All right, Fuse Dimensions. If you've heard of Pokemon Infinite Fusion, it's a fan game where you can basically play Pokemon, and any Pokemon you catch, you can morph them together through like a Dragon Ball Z animation. But that's the main thing that this game has going for it. So basically, if you don't have a way to play Infinite Fusion, this is your next best option. It's the same story as the mainline games, I'm pretty sure. But all of the Pokemon are fused together, to make new Pokemon. But they're fun to use. Outside of that, I think it's got some like quality of life improvements, but I think that's pretty much all it has going for it is the fused Pokemon and that. So I'm going to throw this on B as well. All right, Pokemon Glazed. Like I said, I've been doing this for a couple of years, playing these games. And this was like the most popular one when I first started playing ROM hacks. So it's been a couple years since I played it, but I remember enjoying it. It's got a new region, new story. It's a fun play. It's a little grindy at times, but I'm gonna throw this one on A, just for the fact that it's a bit of a ROM hack legend. Pokemon GS Chronicles, once again back to Gen 2, but I fucking love Gen 2. And this is the best Gen 2 hack, in my opinion, which is right. The story's pretty much the same, changed up a little bit. And, it's not like super difficult, but the AI does play more like real players, which makes it more fun, than just running through NPCs. And having played Gen 2 so many times, I definitely really enjoyed having a somewhat more difficult experience than just running through the game, Outside of that, it is just a Gen 2 remake, but it's the best Gen 2 remake. So that's going on A as well. Name alone, that's going in S tier. But we're not doing this just on the name. This game is stupid as hell. This game is so stupid, but it's also pretty fun. It's cringy, it's immature, but it's also a blast. It's not too different story-wise. I think it's pretty much the same. But there's tons of quality of life changes, and you get 6 starters. It's very entertaining. I'm going to throw this on B as well. Stunning Steel. I remember this one. I remember enjoying it. And then I remember it fucking ending out of nowhere. It's Fire Red with a new storyline. You got some good starter choices. But I was so upset when this ended just out of nowhere. I think it was on like the 8th badge. And it's done. I didn't have like a beta. That's all there is. So I'm throwing you on C. I'm sorry. I hope you get finished. I'd like to finish the game. Okay, Water Blue. This is kind of similar to the Pokemon Classic situation. You got Fire Red, Leaf Green. Of course, you need Water Blue. With this game, you pretty much played through that generation as Blue this time instead of Red, the main protagonist. I know there's some story changes to make it from Blue's perspective. And honestly, if you're a big fan of Fire Red and Leaf Green and want to sort of play through that game again, but from a new point of view, this is where you go. I'm going to throw this one on B. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm just throwing a lot of these on B, but no, this is my list. I can put them where I want. Shiny Gold Sigma. It's Gen 2. I love me some Gen 2. But this game's a little buggy. It does add some more Pokemon, but it doesn't have much more going for it outside of that. So I'm going to throw this one on C as well. All right, Pokemon Quetzal. Am I saying that right? Quetzal, like pretzel? We're going to call it Quetzal. Pokemon Quetzal. This is like one of the most ambitious ROM hacks out there. So the storyline is the same as Emerald, but all of the quality of life changes and the settings you can mess with are just ridiculous. You can choose, I'm pretty sure, any main character from any mainline game, including you can play as Professor Oak or Giovanni. You can change your bike into a motorcycle. You can choose any starter you want up to Gen 9, including some that aren't originally starters. There's overworld Pokemon like Sword and Shield. You can even play multiplayer on this game. So you know what? With how much this has going for it, this is going in A as well. I don't think it should be a mainline game, but I think it's got a lot going for it. I'm going to say this right now. This is my favorite ROM hack. It was like the 3rd one I ever played, and I've just been chasing that high ever since. If you don't know this game, you play through the Gen 1 storyline, but from the other side as a Team Rocket grunt. The story is fantastic, especially as someone who grew up playing these games. It puts a whole new spin on so many things in the Pokemon world. It breathes new life into them, basically. There's so much lore and twists that you don't see coming. It's a great game to play through. Outside of that, you get to steal other trainers' Pokemon, which, stealing's fun. You still get to do the usual gym challenge and, try to become the Pokemon Master, just from a whole new point of view. And I gotta say, I have not looked at Professor Oak the same way since I played this game. This should be a mainline. All right, so Silver Rival. It's pretty much the same idea as Water Blue. I think it's actually even made by the same person that made Water Blue, but it's Gen 2 from Silver's point of view. But I love me some Gen 2. And it's on the same wavelength as this game, but I'm gonna put it in front of it because I love me some Gen 2. Pokemon Cast Form. Everything is cast form. S tier. No, but for real, that's going in D. It's not bad. It's bad. It is bad. Everything's cast form. That's it. That's the whole game. Unbound. Everyone knows this game. Even if you don't play Pokemon Rom Hacks, you might have heard of this game. This is the go-to, when everyone's like, what ROM hack should I play? Unbound! But I mean, it's for a good reason. It's a good game, as much of a meme as it's become. This game is great. It is probably one of the best ROM hacks out there. So much going for it, a whole new storyline, new region. You get side quests and like a mission log. You can sink months into this game if you want to. This should be a mainline game. Ooh, all right, we're getting into some Game Boy Color games now. All right, so first up, we've got Crystal Clear. I think this is the best Game Boy Color hack. It is an open world Pokemon game. You can choose so much on this, sort of in the same realm as Quetzal. You can change how your character looks, pick from 26 different starters. But not only that, with it being open world, this game is non-linear, so you can choose what town you start in, and then you choose where to go from there, which is cool. All right, personally, I like having a little bit of structure in my Pokemon games. I like following a story. Outside of that, it's pretty awesome. This game is an achievement. So I'm going to put this on A, because I would definitely play it again. But if Crystal Clear did not exist, I would say Pokemon Prism is the best Game Boy Color hack. It's a whole new storyline. It's got some really cool mechanics in it. Like there's areas where you play as Pokemon. It's got some fun puzzles in it. This game's a blast. If you haven't played Pokemon Prism, you should play Pokemon Prism. I'm going to throw this on A as well. All right, Flora Sky. I know I've played this because when I opened it up on my emulator, I had already beaten it. But I don't remember much about it. But if I beat it, I'm assuming I enjoyed it. So I'm just going to throw that on B. Emerald Trash Lock. I liked it. It basically made Emerald a bit more difficult, but not like terribly. I always try to switch around the Pokemon I use when I'm playing different games. So this was a good way to do that without going to like the usuals, because it's only bad Pokemon. So, it's fun, but it's not something I would probably play again. So I'm going to throw this on C tier. Shining Opal. This one's fun. It's got its own storyline again. It's a little weird. You start out with a Mikachu, which is a Mew and Pikachu mixed together. Outside of that, I don't remember a whole lot of this game. I do remember beating it. I remember it having a pretty fun storyline, so we're going to say B for that one. Snakewood. It's the zombie Pokemon game. I'm sure you've probably at least seen screenshots of it, if not played it yourself. The story is kind of fun. But there is I remember there being a lot of random difficulty spikes in this game. And, tons of grinding in this game, which I am not a big fan of. I know this game has a bit of notoriety to it, but it's not for me. I'm going to throw this one on the bottom as well. All right. And then last up, this isn't really a ROM hack, but I'm going to count it because the ones I play are ROM hacks. And that is randomizers. So if you're playing on the computer, you can set something up so you can randomize your Pokemon game. I just download the pre-randomized hacks. I play them on my phone or on my Miiu. It's a fun time. They change up all of the Pokemon, which is nice for if you're doing like a monotype run or anything. Right now I'm actually playing, not Emerald, but I'm doing a Leaf Green randomizer where I gave myself the rules, no legendaries and no starters. And it's been a fun time. So basically, if you want to play through these games in a bit of a new situation, not being like, oh, Poochyena is on this route. This is a good way to go. So I'm going to, and I'm throwing this on A because I play randomizers quite often. And that is going to do it for my ROM hack tier list. Do you agree with me on them? Do you disagree with me on them? Probably. Let me know in the comments. Also, like I said, let me know if I'm missing the ROM hacks you love. I will definitely play them, and if there's enough of them, I will rank those too. Speaking of that, if there's anything you want me to rank, feel free to let me know. I've got a list of stuff to rank, because I'm trying to get everything, but I'm going to need some help with that. So let me know what you want me to cover in the next video. And in the meantime, like and subscribe.